Hello, everybody. So I just wanted to bring up today a topic that we all can relate to in some form or another, and it's about grief. Grief is kind of a timeless, outside time and space. There is no destination. It hits us, and however long it takes to process it is however long it takes to process. And as a first cycle breaker of my ancestral family tree, I have processed a lot of grief and loss for decades. And I didn't have timelines on them. In fact, as I heal and recover and embrace my authentic nature unapologetically out loud, I have those cycles where those moments of grief that the events are connected to will come back. Maybe because at this time in my life I'm able to handle it better. Maybe it's because I can see it in a different perspective, whereas I wasn't able to before. Maybe I was too busy raising my children. Maybe I had to compartmentalize. There's just all sorts of reasons. But grief is an important message. And I think that the more of us that can come and speak about grief in a way that brings grace and love and compassion to us, the more we're able to see that there is true healing that we can connect to within ourselves when it comes to processing grief. It doesn't mean that the loss won't ever be significant. It is part of the fabric of being human. But I think it'll be give us an opportunity that we can process all the emotions under the umbrella of grief and be able to find a way to move forward with love and grace for the wisdom that it taught us. So in this piece, it has to do with my mother. Now, I loved my mother so much, but she was raised in a society that did not give her a voice, that did not allow her to have choice, that she had to surrender to what her family tree called the father authority. And I can't imagine what that felt like, because I did not have that experience with my parents. My parents were basically dysfunctional, work, and then when they were together, they raised us the best they could, but we kind of raised ourselves more than they raised us. That's a whole nother story. But when it comes to grief, my mom died in 1998. And I had a 2-year-old at the time. And I had a tumultuous relationship with my mother. And the day that she was passing, she had been put on life support. I was the last one to come in. My dad wanted to wait till all of us got there. And it took me until near the middle of the morning. And she had already been in a coma. And I lived with the regret that the last time I spoke to her was a month before. There was something that told me that she was not going to be making it too much longer. She had 4 stints. But my mom, she was unable to handle the reality of her life. And she did a lot of fantasizing and a lot of pretend. And that was the biggest, I'd say, trigger point for me in our relationship, because I wanted a mother that I could talk to about my struggles, that really could connect in, that could talk to me, that could show me a way out through them, through her care, through her wisdom. And unfortunately, we did not have that relationship. And it created a sort of bitterness and exhaustion that I wasn't able to have deeper conversations with her. And that was on me. I totally own that. So my grieving her came in layers. I would go back and forth through the memories, through timelines, and there would be a little piece that I could heal. here and there. But there was always a distance, a little bit of a shield up, a guard up, I held in my mind about my mother and I. It was like, this is the only story, and I guess I'm left to it, and it's an unsolved mystery. Until I started going through my own trauma recovery as being a cycle breaker. Until I started recovering pieces of me that gave me an ability to remember who I am in truth, beyond the role I played as her daughter. And 12 years, 17 years later, I'm driving down a random road, and I look to the side, and I see someone. And they were sitting there with a bicycle, and I was happy. I thought, wow, good for them. They have a bike that they can work with their health on, because health was really, really important to me, even though I had stumbled upon that. And in that moment, Spirit brought a new thought. Well, can you imagine what it felt like knowing how you struggled, the things that you had to break, the addictions you had to overcome, the truth that you had to bear to your soul and look at and face in your dark times when your body went south and you didn't care, and you went through emotional upswings and downs and trauma. Can you imagine that maybe your mother might have had the same feelings, the same thoughts, but she had never had anyone to speak to him about? And this big crack of forgiveness, of being able to look through my own eyes, look through my mom at her, and see that perhaps my judgment, the shield that I had up, was preventing me and distorting my thoughts about her, that kept me from fully forgiving and fully connecting in as woman to woman, mother to mother. And tears started coming down my eyes. It was the most incredible experience to now see. I'm a couple years older than my mom before she passed. And to see her through my mature eyes, after my kids have grown, after accepting the things that went through my life, after healing a lot of my own trauma and being with my ancestors in a more loving space, I was able to look at my mom with a new set of eyes, with an open heart. And I spent the whole day just allowing the tears to fall. And I wrote her a soul letter, because she was the vessel that gave me birth. And for whatever reason that we weren't able to come meet together from a soul to soul level, we could get there. So this was my story. That grief, it has its own timeline. It doesn't come, and it moves in waves, it moves in cycles. And it also is such a loving, compassionate space it offers energetically. It gives you a loving, compassionate space to make the decision of whether you want to hold on to the pain and the sorrow and the suffering, or whether you want to take and go within with love and compassion and work through the grief. Because as human beings, we are not guaranteed tomorrow. We have fragile bodies. We could walk out our door and something could happen to us, and then we're crossing over. And a lot of my ancestors, I noticed through my family tree, were younger than me when they crossed. I can't imagine what kind of life they had. But I know that some of the cycles and the repeats I did that my ancestors could not pull themselves out of, I could see why. I could feel the damage that was on their bodies, the sorrows that they carried in their souls, the inability to talk about it and be open, because that was not the society that they were raised in. They were conditioned to hold everything inside, like we don't air our dirty laundry. I can't imagine. And women did not have many choices in my ancestors' lineage. There were a few that fought, but they did more praying than being able to make and change the move the needle, so to speak, like I did with my daughters. And I'm still continuing to mend our relationship because of the cycles I repeated in my relationships. So I want to tell you that that beautiful moment with spirit and my highest self, able to look back at my mother and see her through the eyes of what I experienced, gave me so much compassion and so much grace and so much forgiveness. And I let go of that judgment because it is a shield and it does distort and it keeps us from really being able to mend and heal things that we go through as human beings. It is a limitation. So I just wanted to share a little bit and hope that it inspires you, but also invite you to take a look and see if there's any judgment that you have that you're holding against somebody that may have hurt you. It doesn't mean that you have to be around them. Sometimes people are not safe to be around, but it does mean that maybe there's a space in you that you can heal so that you're not carrying that around, that you can let go of the judgment, that you can see people and as imperfectly and as broken sometimes and fractured or whatever they choose to walk in, because hurt people. And you can maybe see them from a distance with a love, not from human to human so much, because love is a higher vibration than what we human beings have been marketed when it comes to love. But maybe see them from a soul level, from a kinder, compassionate space that you give yourself. You know, there but the grace of God go I kind of thing. And maybe this can help inspire you to maybe look at relationships in your life that might need a little bit of tending of the garden, so to speak, in your soul, so that it won't take you decades long to heal like it has taken me. And I'm forever grateful for all the lessons, but now I have peace in my heart for my mother, and I longed for that on earth when she was alive, and I didn't have that, but now I have it. So I just wanted to share a little bit about that, and I hope that whoever's out there hurting, I hear you, I feel you, and I will hold a space for you, okay, that is full of compassion and grace and love and comfort and strength, because it does take a lot of strength for us to move energies in our bodies and thoughts and feelings that we feel stuck in. It takes a lot of energy to work through those, but we can do it. It's not impossible. So many blessings today, and I hope that this inspires someone to know that I hear you and I understand. Till next time.